Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my show Camera Tuesday. In today's episode, I'm gonna tell you guys to not buy Nikon Z series camera and EOS R. Please wait. So allow me to explain myself. The reason why I want you guys to wait is simply because Sony has delayed its launch. Basically, Sony's launch supposed to happen on Photokina, or at least the announcement that they are releasing a new camera, because their cycle, basically photo cameras generally take 2 years of cycle, and computer graphics are take 3 years cycle. So basically, Sony is supposed to release the camera, their time is up, but they haven't. Not even an announcement came out of it. And the Sony executives that were there in Photokina flat out made it clear they are working to improve the product. They want to make sure the product is mind-boggling, things of that nature. In those sort of scenario, I would urge you guys to wait. Now, this three-horse race becomes much more complicated now that Panasonic has entered the market. Panasonic is a dark horse. Now, let's understand Canon. What they came out with is very poor from Canon's own standard. Like, if you take Canon DSLR as a standard, like, okay, this is Canon DSLRs, how good they are versus Canon EOS R, it's not very good. Then we look at Nikon series options. They are also a very weak camera. Under no sum, you can't say neither of these cameras are bad, but one of them are poor. I will explain why more later in the video. And another one is a very weak camera, and that also I will explain. Now, all of these things, the fact that Sony has delayed it, the fact that Panasonic is coming out with a full frame camera, now that will lead into inevitable price drop. This is the reason why I want you guys to wait, because as many of you remember, Sony A7 Mark III version was $2,000, but Canon 6D Mark II, when it came out, was also $2,000. What happens after that camera came out, Sony camera came out, the price dropped, hit as low as $1,600. So $400 of price saving happened because a competitor released a camera that was mind-bogglingly, awesome. So in those sort of scenario, now there are two things that are about to come out. This will mean inevitably, if even one of them are good, you're gonna have a very serious price drop on both of these cameras, Canon and Nikon. So on Nikon, I have already made a video, you can check it out here, but I'm gonna give you a rough idea. The reason why I want you guys to wait is like Z7 is out, and it's let's just say it's not winning over many hearts. It's not a bad camera, but under no circumstances anybody is saying like, this is a Nikon's camera. This is, again, Nikon is going back to their amateurish days where the product is not as polished as it's supposed to be, because Nikon is as a camera company never releases firmware. This is the first time they're like, oh, we're gonna release a firmware, oh, we're gonna release a firmware update. So I would say, because Z7 is a high megapixel camera, the performance will be improved if you reduce the megapixel, and you will get better low light performance, should get improved autofocus performance also, hopefully. So I would urge you guys to wait. And the reason why I'm finally disappointed with Nikon is their own executives are saying Z series cameras are not aimed at professional, Z6 and Z7. Now, why does that piss people off? Is simply because the cost of Nikon D850, it's almost similar, if not cheaper, than these not for pro camera. So cost is the serious factor here. It's like, why you are charging so much if you are releasing a camera that cannot be used by pro? They themselves came out with that, but for some reason they are not reducing the price. And if you are a serious photographer, I would urge you to seriously reconsider D850. Now, you will give up two things. You will give up the mobility aspect, basically the camera is bigger and heavier, and you will give up electronic viewfinder. All things considered, the performance gain that you will get from this, because this has banding, the Nikon camera has banding if you try to push the highlights, which you have to do if you have to do, like, let's say wildlife photography, low light photography, of things of that nature. Banding in those sort of scenario is unacceptable, and Nikon D850 has better autofocus. So it does not matter if your camera is light, but if it misses focus, no point in it. Even Fro Knows Photos, who's a very prominent Nikon shooter, he is also like, yeah, this is not this is just not acceptable. Nikon's autofocus system, while using the face detection, basically when you're using the viewfinder, not on screen one, that was almost on par, if not better than Canon's. They have screwed that up. So I would urge you guys, if you are serious about photography, full frame photography is something important, and if you really already have Nikon lenses, look into D850, you may be happier. Or if you really want to go into mirrorless, wait till Z6 comes out. So what about Canon? Now Canon released a camera with bad firmware. They are also like, okay, we're gonna release a firmware update, we're gonna fix this issue, because many of you know they tried to release what we call eye autofocus. Basically right now I'm using a face autofocus. This area is getting a square box and it's focusing on that, but the next generation of camera will always have what we call eye autofocus. Basically it will focus here. Again, that only works on one click. Basically you are like, you take the photo, it focuses on it. You go to burst mode, it's flat out disables it. So they are saying they're gonna fix it in firmware, which the firmware hasn't been released yet. Then we come to the fact that it has bad autofocus. Canon has bad autofocus. I have provided link in the down below that you can easily see about Canon system, where they have like DPReviews had done a video, and I have also provided time code. In those two time code you can easily see cameras, you know, doing hunting and breathing, and it's a crippled camera. And to understand that aspect of it, crippled camera, please check out my video on this. It's a full version of that. And I would urge you guys to please pay attention to the fact that people who are using all full frame cameras, they are saying flat out video is not sharp enough, and this is the crop factor. Basically you're not getting full frame. If you're going 4K, you're getting only that much, which is smaller than Micro Four Third, and it's also not sharp, not even sharp in full HD. So all things considered, Canon has made a very weak entry. I am trusting my Canon EOS 800D to focus on my face, and it's doing that, and somehow they came up with a camera that cost 3 to 4 times more than this, and somehow misses focus in a simple scenario. It wasn't like he was surrounded by people, so his camera got confused. It was like trees are in the background and his face was in front, and somehow it missed it. So please check out that DPReview video and just play the time code. It has focus breathing, and it's also not a good camera. So this has been requested of me for many times that I do a video about Sony A7. The reason I didn't do a specific video, because you have to look it as a system. Can you buy this camera and lenses and other accessories and be happy with it? I'm very happy to say yes. At this point in time, this system is the only one that can destroy Nikon and Canon. The simple reason is Sony have lenses. Now you might be like, okay, doesn't Canon or Nikon has 300 lenses series? Yes. They have 300 plus lenses in both of them, but problem is native lens. I'm only counting the lens that you can just simply pick up, put on your camera and be done with it. Sony outmatches all of them at this point, because both of them have only 4 lenses. And so not to mention Nikon and Canon both did not open their lens mount system. There are rumors that some Canon lenses are not working, as in third-party lenses from Sigma or Tamron are not working properly, but they are only rumor. In Nikon side, it's so bad that Sigma flat out released Sigma or Tamron, I'm not sure. They released a flat out notice to their customer that we are looking into the fact that lens is not working as it's supposed to. So be mindful. That's why I'm not very comfortable with the idea of adapters. The reason, because they did not open their lens mount. All the lens, third-party lens is reverse engineered, so it does not have the true data that so adapter would be looking for, so it will not work properly. This is why I'm saying at this point, if you buy a Sony camera, like this is your first camera, this is where you want to start your photography hobby or career or vlogging, you will find you have much more lenses available for Sony than you have either Nikon or Canon. And not to mention, Sony opened their lens mount, and now you can have Sigma Art series lenses, which are lenses that those people who like it, they say these lenses are the only thing that comes close to Canon L series glass, so they are quite good. And Sony also makes an excellent lens of their own, and this lens is very interesting to me because this is a zoom lens and it has power zoom, so you don't even have to rotate. This lens is specifically focused for videography, but the fact is you have that option. So the system is already tested. Now it does have some hiccups, but they are also releasing pro support system, so that is also figured out. Large lens selection. Now the only thing they are not have is flip out screen. Will they add flip out screen? I will put that probability to be very low. very low probability that they're gonna put flip out screen. And this is the core aspect. This series of camera A7 Mark III, it's so advanced that there are only few possibility left. Like the first thing I think they're gonna improve, if they want to improve, is they're gonna give 2 UHS 2 card slot. Right now they have only 1 UHS 2 card slot. That's the only thing they can upgrade, and of course they're gonna refine the system. Their eye autofocus has been upgraded to a point where now it can focus on animal's eye, bird's eye. Yes, it has upgraded. That's what they announced in Photokina. So at this point, if you want starting out new, Sony flat out, all hands, hands down, is a system that is better in every single aspect. The fact that if you might have Nikon lenses, you might be, especially if you have Nikon third-party lenses, you are in a very serious danger that they may not work with other systems. So this is Sony, and I really urge you guys to wait, because if they release a camera that is price competitive as A7 Mark III was, again you might be buying a Canon camera that is like, let's say $2,300, and Sony comes out at again $2,000, the Canon price will go down, and at that point you're gonna be like, okay, why did I bought it so early? So let's talk about the dark horse in the room, Panasonic. Now, the reason why I call Panasonic a dark horse, because it's untested. Even though their camera is tested, even though their feature set is groundbreaking, it's not tested simply because their autofocus system is their weakest link, and they are saying they are using contrast detect. Now, benefit of contrast detect, sensor is cheaper and it has no banding issue. Okay, and third, the core reason why anybody even wants to use contrast detect is better. It has better sharpness, because it relies on sharpness. Even if the lens is misaligned, it will still give you the best possible outcome in terms of sharpness. So that's why it's contrast based. Now, problem with that, it requires it to do hunting. Now they are saying they are bypassing this issue by using what's called AI. Now this may be a buzzword. This may actually mean they have a face detector autofocus system where it detects a face, it focuses on it, and then slowly pushes it, not like go back and forth full throughout the range of the lens, and AI can really predict it. Like if this is a face and I'm like I'm gonna move the focusing element this much, it's gonna be like moving out of the focus range. So there may be some probability that this might actually work. If it works, this dark horse is gonna be like a winning horse. And they already have lens selection, because as you can check out in my video about Panasonic here, the Panasonic tried to come out with a bang, and they are directly partnering up with Leica. They already had a partnership with their other lineup also, so this partnership is taking it to the next step where they are using L mount. Basically, this is Leica mount. There are already Leica lenses, very high quality lenses, which you may find they are idiotically overpriced, but there are third-party lenses available. So please look into those things. And flat out, because of that reason, they already have more lenses than Nikon and Canon combined. So they solved the lens issue, and not to mention they are also coming up with Sigma. And since the lens mount is open, Sigma will release. Sigma can easily flood the market with good lenses in very short amount of time. So they already solved the lens issue, and it only needs one thing. It just needs good autofocus. That's it. Like other than that, Panasonic has nailed down every other aspect of the camera. Now, what about flip out screen? They might add it. Check my full video, you will understand why I'm saying this. Now, this was my presentation on why you should wait before you buy either a Canon or Nikon. I hope you liked it or learned from it. In that case, please leave a like. If you didn't, no worry about it, dislike it. And I would urge you to, comment what you want to see in the next episode of Camera Tuesday. And please subscribe, share it amongst your friends. It really helps me out. And if you are free, press the bell icon. And as always, thanks for watching.